She's not what you'd expect. She's tough and feisty, but gentle and tender. She makes millions and gives millions to the poor. She cries, she laughs, she teaches, she comforts. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
Hi, welcome to the Dani Johnson Show. Thanks so much for joining us today. Today is a day where you're going to have the opportunity to look at who you are actually influencing in your life. And you might ask, what does it have to do with my success, Dani? This is a show on success. It has everything to do with success. Your influence matters, and you have influence whether you realize it or not. In fact, you're influencing people in ways maybe that you're not even familiar with. I don't know about you, but I've had a tendency to kind of walk through life just kind of thinking that I'm doing my own thing. But in all reality, that's not the truth. In fact, I've kind of grown to this motto that my life is not my own, and neither is yours. We are all connected to people. Bottom line, we are connected to not only the ones that we live with, the ones that we've given birth to, but the people that we work with, the people that we're sharing the road with. The people that we're sharing the grocery store with, that we're sharing the Walmart experience with, wherever it is that you do business, as well as we are also sharing the internet with billions of other people. And many of them are watching you, and you don't even realize that you're being watched. So what does that have to do with your success? Here's an amazing quote given by Ken Blanchard, who is an author. He's authored over 60 books, writes a lot about leadership. Very, very successful here in the 21st century. He says, the key to successful leadership today is influence, not authority. Wow. I want you to marinate on that because it's so true. There's a lot of very influential people out there who have no authority to talk about a lot of things, meaning they're not an expert on something. They haven't had some great big accomplishment that makes them an influential person in that particular arena. But influence is definitely rated higher than authority. And yet we have people all over the place trying to go out and get degrees so they have the authority to talk about something or the authority to teach on something or the authority to do something. But in all reality, if we're not making the right type of advancements in the area of influencing other people, our authority really means absolutely nothing. So we asked a question on Facebook, of all places, about influence and how they are influencing people in social media places. You see, social media is a great place to build a business. It's a great place to gain influence. It's a great place to influence people to think differently. Everything that you post on Facebook says something about you. It is actually describing what your brand is, what you talk about politically and how you talk about it. What you actually talk about, it gains influence or shrinks back your influence. So here's a question that we asked everybody. It was this: if someone were to look at your social media posts, the way you speak, how you live your everyday life, what would people say about you? What would they say about your character, your morals, and your beliefs? Are you a good influence on the world around you or a negative one? Maybe you have never even assessed yourself in that way. And maybe you're thinking, well, why should I assess myself in that way? I'm here to tell you that there is not an employer that has any brains, at least. Any employer with brains, when they're interviewing people, you're getting stalked on Facebook first, I promise. They are looking at your Facebook page to see what your values are. They're looking at what you're writing on Instagram and Twitter, what you're reposting, who you're following. They're looking who you're connected with. Facebook and all social media has become a great way for corporations to recruit people and also to not make bad hires, because we can see what someone is posting, what their beliefs are. What they're interested in. And so when they come in on an interview and they're asked questions specifically about their character or their interests or how they work and kind of what their beliefs are concerning even work things, if you're posting about how much you hate your job and how much you hate your boss, this definitely is going to hurt you in your next interview, no question. So today we're going to kind of pull back from a 30,000 foot in the air view, looking at social media as a platform to either help you in your business and career life, help you find a date, help or hurt you in those arenas or in any arena, honestly, because what you are posting is what you're showing to be what your values are, what you believe, what you're working towards, and how you live. And you're being spied on, whether you realize it or not. And I'm not talking about spied on in a negative aspect, which even though that's even true. But I'm talking about from a place of you being able to capture a larger influence, how to capture more customers, how to capture more dates, if that's what it is that you're looking for. So we have some people on hold that are waiting to tell us how they're using their influence, or maybe they didn't even realize that they had any. We have Jan Potgieter from the United Kingdom calling in. Hi, Jan. How are you?
Hi there, Dani. I'm doing really well, thank you.
Good. So let's talk about what you're using or how you see Facebook for influence.
Well, when I considered the whole question, the thing that really struck me is how, certainly within a business environment, and I'm one of them and certainly was part of it, how we really try to influence people just in a manipulative way to get our own way.
Yeah.
And I think certainly I used to do this until I had the opportunity to run into you, where my main objective for any kind of influence was to bend people to my will. And not understanding that through doing that I'm unconsciously influencing a whole bunch of other people.
Yes.
like your family, like your kids, your friends, and you're not focused on influencing them because you kind of, certainly the perspective that I had was that they weren't really advancing my prospects, so I didn't really focus on positively influencing and manipulating that environment. So wow. Anyway, for me, I think influence and manipulation can be interchangeable often. Yes,
and often is. So you're basically saying that if a person did not fill your agenda, if they didn't fit or couldn't be bent, as you said, you couldn't bend a person to fill your agenda, your goal, your target for your business, then that person you didn't really care about.
Yeah, as embarrassing as that sounds now, that's the truth.
I love that. You're like, you probably can't even believe you said yes to that.
Yeah.
Man, that sounded like a cold-hearted fill in the blank. But here's what I love. Your honesty, your transparency, right? And even looking at, okay, so those that maybe on the surface didn't look like they could help your business agenda, engaging in relationship and influencing them, right, could someday transpire into something that could help your business agenda.
Absolutely. But I think you have to pause long enough to consider these things to realize that. I think, from my perspective, I was focused so much on the short term.
Yep.
In terms of, this is what I have to do. So, either get on my side or get out of my way. Yeah. And you don't really think about what you leave in your wake.
Yeah. And there's always something that's being left in the wake, for sure.
Absolutely.
And as you said, it's like my influence is teaching my wife and my kids how to manipulate, right? And that doesn't work good for you at all. It always comes back.
No, it doesn't. And eventually people get wise to the fact that, if you're coming with a certain approach, yep, they know exactly what's coming because you've trained them.
That's right. Yeah.
And yeah, a lot of the stuff when I look at social media too, a lot of the focus people have on social media, and I think the influence that we all have is, we find it very hard to resist putting the spotlight on ourselves.
Yeah.
But that never ever sends the right message.
You're right. You're absolutely right. And it doesn't influence at the greatest potential that it could be influencing, for sure.
Not at all. Not at all.
Yeah. Jan, thank you so much for sharing. And I really appreciate your transparency. There's not too many men that are out there, or women for that matter, to just, jump on a show like this and say, I was a manipulative blank. And it wasn't good. It wasn't good. So tell me, what has changed? Like, so now that you've kind of had your eyes open since you ran into me, I got this picture of you and I running into each other, clashing. So as we ran into each other, what have you changed? Like, now that you see the bigger picture, right? Because oftentimes it's the urgent that drives us to manipulation often. Right? It's the urgent things that do. It's the short-term goals that we have to drive us to pressuring, striving, pushing, instead of looking at the bigger picture of the perception of our actions and our words and our influence on people and the conditioning that we're doing on them and what that negative response is. So you kind of shared what the negative response was. So what have you changed and how has that worked better?
Well, I think the biggest thing for me was the realization that success in life revolves around so much more than just business in my case.
Yes.
Other folks might have a different one. It might be their, their physical kind of, composure, etc., or it might be their marriage. For me, it was business. And my whole identity was wrapped up in business. And, so once I realized that success is to be found in a holistic way, it's not just business. It's marriage, it's health, it's family, it's helping those who don't have the means to help themselves. Mm-hmm. It changed for me. It really did, because it helped me to take the spotlight off me. And I think it's often like you've said. The thing that really struck me is that if you lack the vision yourself, you've got to hang around people who have the vision. Yeah. And that's what's changed for me, is as I found myself starting to be around people who were not living life for themselves, I started to become more like them. Yes. So it was no great act of will on my side. The only act of will I had was to make a decision to say, I'm going to stay plugged into this environment because I want to change. But it's the people around me, quite frankly, and my God that made the change in me.
Yeah. Yeah. So does life feel more whole?
Absolutely. It's not the finished article, yet, and I don't think I'll probably ever get there.
That's right.
But it's so much better than it's ever been now.
Yeah. Yeah. More fulfillment?
Much more so. I've, in many ways, just dispensed with the notion of even, consciously thinking about wanting to influence people in a manipulative way, and just reaching out and seeing what I can do to assist. Man. With no expectation and no declaration of my needs. Yeah. And it's incredibly. It's not something once again, it's quite embarrassing to say this, but I never really thought it could be fulfilling helping somebody else. I thought it's much more fulfilling helping yourself.
But that's how most people think, Jan. Really, like we really think that it's going to be much more satisfying and fulfilling to satisfy our own needs, but it's not. When you make yourself about something that's so much bigger than just you, that's where real satisfaction is. That's where real fulfillment is. And that's what you have found. You have identified what your definition of success is. And yes, you've had financial success and will continue to have financial success. But having the full picture, now that's real success. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more right after this.
Don't look now. Someone is watching you. Find out who it is next on The Dani Johnson Show.
The whole story of how I went from homeless to millions is right here in this book, First Steps to Wealth. I'd love to give you a free copy of this book. Just dial 888-757-8880. You can get your free copy of this book. It's like a real book, my friend. You can get an ebook copy for free right now, or if you'd like to pay the shipping to get this $15 book to your house, I'd be happy to send it to you. 888-757-8880. Get your copy of First Steps to Wealth today and begin on a brand new path of some great success.
More resources, more training, more results. The DaniJohnson.com Insider Membership is your ultimate success shortcut. Get exclusive access to reports, videos, audios, ebooks, cheat sheets, and other training for your personal and professional life. This is truly DaniJohnson.com's best kept secret. Become an Insider member today and get on the fast track to success.
Imagine living in a decrepit, unsafe hovel made of waste material on top of old mining tunnels that could explode and sink your home at any moment. Imagine no water to drink, no safe place to raise your children, no food for your starving baby. Imagine that your kids can't learn to read because they have to work to support the family instead of going to school. Could you imagine living in that kind of fear and hopelessness? This is exactly what families are dealing with in the poverty-stricken village of Santa Pancha, Nicaragua. These families can barely meet their basic food, water, and housing needs. We are transforming that village. Be a part of this miracle. I want you to go to the website now and learn how you can help. Go to kingsransom.org and click on Santa Pancha. There you can join with other warriors against poverty and help bring a miraculous transformation to Santa Pancha. That's kingsransom.org, kingsransom.org.
Did you know you can take The Dani Johnson Show with you wherever you go? It's never been easier to stay up to date with the latest content from Dani with the DaniJohnson.com app. Watch or listen in the car, at the gym, or on the go. Download it now from the App Store and Google Play and never miss a show again. Your family, business, and bank account will thank you.
This is your chance. This is your shot. Get your copy of War on Debt right now. There's one waiting for you that has your family's name on it. And inside that package is freedom. Your family's freedom is on the inside of that package. All you have to do is open it up, press play, and start applying what I teach you in this program. 888-757-8880. You and I are going to help your family become completely debt-free in the next 5 to 7 years. Just imagine how that's going to feel.
Helping you become all you were meant to be. This is The Dani Johnson Show.
Whether you realize it or what, whether you realize it or not, you are being watched. And you do have influence, more than what you think. We live in a day and age where people are able to react very quickly with their fingertips on their personal cell phone and or their computer and can rip through another person with their words. You know that old statement of sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. You and I both know that's such a huge lie. And that which that you do on social media has an impact on your career, your family, and your community. Either you are a positive force to be reckoned with, or you're just another one of the billions of negative people out there that with no self-control, with no heart, can get on there, whether it's Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, whatever. There's so many different social media platforms, YouTube, and they just rip in and attack people's character. They rip in and give their opinion, and their opinion is what? Don't you know that you and I only use 10% of our brain? That's all we use. And the 10% of our brain that we actually use, we are really only perpetuating a bunch of other people's opinions who've influenced us. We are a combination of a whole lot of experiences, a whole lot of other people's opinions, and that's what we spit out of our mouths or out of our fingertips on social media. So here's the deal. How are you using your influence on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or YouTube? You know, especially through watching through the years, right? For actually the last 2 presidential campaigns, seeing these 2 and seeing how people respond and how you can just post something so simple and yet people assume that you're coming from a completely different direction. We live in a world where people block their own family members, parents, aunts, and uncles on social media because we are in disagreement with what their beliefs are. Is this honor? Is this respect? Is this love? Is this letting your light shine so much so on a hill that all the world can see? That when people see you and the good works you do, that they're praising your Father in heaven? Or are you letting your light shine? Yeah, and it's causing people to see it not as light, but is it darkness that you are dispelling? Is it you, a negative force, jumping in like everybody else is doing, attacking people they do not know, holding up a mindset that they don't even necessarily believe in, that they don't even fully understand, but instead using talking points that they heard or saw in an article and jumping all over it instead of really gaining context? It's kind of an interesting time and space that we're living in right now, where families are being divided because of quotes or things that they're choosing to promote out there. So I encourage you today, go look through your own Facebook page. Look at the posts in which you have posted. How much of those opinions are truly yours versus opinions that you're simply just promoting of somebody else? And are you doing and saying things that is hurting your influence? I promise you, if you're hurting your influence and you're shrinking your influence back, you're going to hurt your career and your finances, because money comes from people. I'm going to say that again. Money comes from people. It doesn't grow on trees, but it comes from people. And if money comes from people, how you influence people determines your income. How you influence people determines your earning power in the marketplace today. So if you're influencing them in such a way that it is discrediting other people's character, therefore you're discrediting your own character. If you're attacking and creating a character assassination on someone you don't know, that you've never talked to, that you've never met, that you may never meet, and yet you're assassinating their character, this is a reflection on you. You're also going to duplicate those efforts as your children are watching what you're doing, hearing what you're saying. The fact is, you're being watched, and not just on social media, but you're being watched and heard at home, and watched and heard at work, at church, in your community, at the grocery store, wherever it is that you do business, wherever it is that you find yourself. You are promoting something. So I hope and pray that that something is something that's helpful and beneficial in this incredibly frustrated, very hostile world that we all live in today. For the sake of the next generation, I hope you're using your influence in a way that is helpful and beneficial to our future. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more right after this.
Don't go away. The next segment might just change your life. This is The Dani Johnson Show.
I'm so blessed that I found what is in Grooming the Next Generation for Success. This is a book that is being taught in universities around the world. It's been noted as the best book on parenting that has ever been written. Crazy, if you ask me. But the point is that this thing gets results. Get your copy today, 888-757-8880. Again, that's 888-757-8880. Or go to DaniJohnson.com. That's D-A-N-I Johnson.com. Get your copy today.
Did you know you can see Dani Johnson live and in person? Go to DaniJohnson.com and find out about our next live event. First steps to success. Register today. Call 866-760-8255 or go to DaniJohnson.com/FSTS.
Prior to plugging into DaniJohnson.com, I was working 60 to 75 hours a week. I was completely stressed out. I was incredibly angry with my husband. We were in over $350,000 worth of debt. By applying the strategies that Dani teaches, in the last 3.5 years, we have paid off $170,000 in debt. We are no longer roommates, and we no longer spend every single cent that we make. We now have made tens of thousands of dollars in passive income in investments. We are on the right track. We're traveling around the world together, and we are building homes for those who really need it. So I don't know about you, but if you want to cut back from 60 to 20 and 30 hours a week, if you want to mend some relationships, if you want to make your life more efficient and a lot more fun, and you want to be the best version of you, I highly recommend that you get registered because your life is about to change.
Prior to plugging into DaniJohnson.com, first steps to success in creating dynasty, my wife and I were really lost. We were struggling in a relationship. We were struggling financially, drowning in debt. Our relationship was really broken. We were in a bad place. We were living in two completely different states and not really honoring each other. Once we got plugged into the community, we noticed a shift in our lives. Most importantly, we came together as a husband and wife. That was the first thing we did. And when we finally came together under the same roof, things started to change. Over the past 3 years, we've been able to pay off over $495,000 in debt. I know in my business, I've had a job created for me that increased my income by 50%. That has actually opened up the door to allow my wife and I to spend more time with each other. So I don't know where you are. I don't know if your relationship is super awesome. I don't know if your job is immaculate. I don't know if you're debt-free. But what I do know is if you're not any one of those things, your next step is to get plugged into DaniJohnson.com, go on the website, get plugged into the community. I promise you, your life will never be the same.
Prior to plugging into DaniJohnson.com, I was a broke college student, drowning in debt, and I felt like the world was crashing all around me, and I had bad relationships. Since plugging into DaniJohnson.com and First Steps to Success, I was able to pay off $6,600 in 4 months. Now I'm able to give 10% of my income to wherever my heart desires. I actually, using the skills that I learned from Dani, I actually landed a job before I graduated college, and I'm able to travel the world. All I know is if you're serious about annihilating your debt, traveling the world, helping people, and having fun doing so, I highly recommend you get registered for the next First Steps to Success. Do it now, don't wait, don't even thinking about it. If you're ready to change your life, just do it.
We went to our first ever First Steps to Success just 10 weeks ago, and it has definitely been life-changing ever since.
We felt like we got hit by a 2x4, but it was the best 2x4 because what we realized is that our priorities were clearly out of line. I had been building a home-based business and had been working 80 to 100 hours, and I realized that that is not my role, and that I had actually taken my husband's, and it was that realization that something had to change, and we immediately went home and changed everything. There was no hesitation. We said, you know what, we need to be obedient to God.
And we've implemented the tools day one. We started implementing what Dani taught us, invested in ourselves, invested in our kids, got our priorities in line. We've now actually paid off just not quite $60,000 in debt and looking at a couple more investments here as head of the household.
It's been absolutely incredible. So I just encourage you, if any of this speaks to you, if you're wanting to get out of debt, if you're wanting better communication, if you're wanting to elevate to the higher level of life, get to First Steps to Success and plug into DaniJohnson.com.
If you knew you couldn't fail, what would you do with your life? Discover your own answer. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
You know, people blame all the time. They blame the market, they blame the company, they blame the product, they blame the customer. They blame everybody else instead of taking personal responsibility for their own actions, their own words, and their own influence. Today, I hope in today's show, you're going to look in the mirror, and instead of blaming outside circumstances, that you're going to look at your actual actions and the words in which you're using, especially particularly the words that you're using in social media places. And you might say, well, Dani, I'm not on social media. Okay, well, great. Well, you still are influencing people all around you. They hear the words you say. They see the attitude in which you say it. And you have to ask yourself, do I want to elevate myself to a higher level of leadership, or do I want to stay stuck where I'm at? So we posted a question on Facebook about the fact that what do people perceive about you based on what you talk about, based on what you are promoting, based on what you're posting in social media places, or again, what you're talking about at the dinner table, what you're talking about at home, what you're talking about at the office, because you are promoting something always, whether you do it with your fingertips on your cell phone, jumping on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, or you're doing it just with your lips, or through email even. We live in a world where people are getting offended so easily and jumping to conclusions. It shows to me, in my opinion, and my opinion isn't really worth much, but in my opinion, I feel like the level of the age group that our entire nation is at right now is somewhere around 12 years old. Yeah, based on the maturity level of us as a collective nation, I feel like we're somewhere around 12 years old, where people get offended easily, they gossip easily, they make assumptions very easily. There's no maturity in it at all. There's no respect of other people's opinions. There's no respect or honor of another human being. All there is I want what I want, and I want it the way I want it, and I think that things should be the way that I think they should be. Not ever looking at the consequences or who all is affected by those particular decisions. So we asked that question on Facebook, like, how are you perceived? So we're going over to the phones. We have Wes Wolf from Oklahoma. Wes, welcome to the show.
Hey, Dani. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
It's super excited, and I was surprised. And glad that you reached out. That's so cool.
Yay. So, Wes, first of all, we appreciate that you responded on Facebook, and thanks so much for taking time to call in. So tell us how you feel the social media platform is being used, and what are you doing about it?
Well, I replied with good and authentic, and I just think that we all kind of have, at least personally, I have a responsibility. Mm-hmm. I mean, my major goal is I want to be a better husband, the best husband and the best father. Mm-hmm. And anytime you put something out there, it's there, and you may think you can take it back, but you can't. And so I choose to use the power of content for good, right? And I think if we would go into it with the power of good, because I'm using Facebook as a medium to meet people, right? And so the content I share and that I believe in that means something to me is going to attract people that I want to meet, have relationships with, and maybe even have a business relationship with. But it's always authenticity and relationships first, and caring about people.
So when you say authenticity, what exactly does that look like? Because when you say, I want to be the best husband and the best father I possibly can be, does that mean that you never screw up?
It doesn't mean that I never screw up. No, my goal is to get better and better every day.
So does that mean that you never screw up?
I just choose not to share struggles and screw-ups in front of the world. I share those with my family, and we work through it together as a family. Mm-hmm.
But why not share those screw-ups to the world?
I mean,
everyone else hides their screw-ups to the world. So how does that make you authentic? It's a great question.
Well, I think there's a time and place as far as what you share.
Yep. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not that I've never shared failures. I mean, you could scroll through my feed and see failures and all that, awesome. But the good far outweighs the bad. Mm-hmm. And if people can relate to that, that's the best thing that social media can offer me, is someone related to that, and we can become friends. And if someone needs to shoot me a message and is going through a hard time, I can use experience, and they know by having that conversation and looking at my feed that, hey, this guy's a father, he's got 2 kids, he likes records, and seems pretty cool to me. So, right?
That's awesome. So, Wes, I want to challenge you. I think that what you're doing, you've got the right mindset completely. And my opinion means nothing. It's a combination of all kinds of crazy experiences, good, bad, and indifferent. But something that I can say is that when I see a man be transparent, I instantly love and trust him. Because it's so authentic. We live in a world, especially on Facebook, because Facebook is filled with a lot of fakes. It's filled with people trying to position themselves to be something that they often are not. But when I see a man, especially a father and a husband, share authentically that, you know what, today I totally screwed up and I bit my wife's head off. And you know what I did? I had to go right away and tell her how much I love her and please forgive me, and I was wrong. I challenge you 10 men today. Do the same thing. If you screw up today, go make it right. Buy her some flowers. Most importantly, tell her that you are sorry. Hold me accountable. Please forgive me, and do what it takes to make it right. That, to me, that would bring tears to my eyes if I saw that in my newsfeed. It would make me trust you. You, who could be a perfect stranger, that if I saw that, I'd be like, oh, Every woman in the world wants to hear those words from their husband. None of us have an expectation of our husband being perfect. Every child wants to hear those words from their father. Do you know what I mean? So I challenge you. You actually gain respect with revealing your faults, revealing your struggles, as long as you have a solution tagged to it. Do you know what I'm saying? When people just gripe and complain, no, that isn't it. But it's when you share that you failed and what you're doing to fix it, this is inspiring right there. That's inspiring to me. So I understand your premise of like, no, man, there's tons of people griping about their failures. No, the reason why that drives us crazy is because there's not a solution attached to the failure. You know what I mean?
That's very true. Absolutely.
Yeah. So when it's complete, it's full circle. Now you are the best husband and best father that you can be. Versus just showing the side of yourself that you want everyone to see, which is awesome. Does that make sense?
No, that's excellent advice.
Yeah. Okay, well, Wes, thanks so much for sharing. And I agree with you. You are the best father and husband that you can be. And now I want the world to see it. As you present solutions.
Better,
Amen. And I'm getting better and better as well. And hopefully everybody that is tuning into this show is getting better and better as well. Otherwise, we are all wasting our time. You're awesome, Wes. Thank you so much for sharing. We appreciate your input tremendously. Okay, so now we've got Ashley Towers from Minnesota. Hello.
Hello.
So what about you? How are you using social media? How are you using your influence? Are you using it to make the world a better place, or are you one of those gripers?
You know, I'm really trying. My big thing with social media is I am a hardcore, fiery, passionate advocate for vaccine-injured families and children.
Mm-hmm.
And I really, you know, it's been about 3 years now that I've been doing it, and I feel like I've come out of my shell big time because it went from, I am so scared to post this stuff because of what people are going to say. So it's so controversial. But it got to a point where it was just like, you know what? I just have way too many friends who their kids are suffering. Families are suffering. I know so many people who are suffering because of it.
Because of being vaccinated.
Yes. And people aren't listening to them. Their doctors are ignoring them. I personally have lost people who I thought were my friends. But it just, to me, it's like I would rather lose the people who I thought meant something in my life than to let these kids suffer. And as a result of that, I've had people come to me in private, thanking me, asking me for more information.
Wow.
Saying, what else can you tell me? I'm so confused.
We need to do a show on that. My grandkids have not been vaccinated. I know that just made a bunch of people mad. But those are the choice of their mothers and their fathers was not to. And my first grandchild, after her very first vaccination when she was nearly a newborn, couldn't breathe. And so it was like direct. So then Christina didn't make the connection, then went to do it again, and then had a terrible reaction the second time. And after that, she's like, we're done. I'm not doing this. And she started doing all kinds of research. So anyway, I understand where you're coming from. But let's make this full circle, though, okay? Because when we say, and again, I love that you have a passion for this, and I love that you are willing to lose relationships for the cause, to save lives. But what if we don't have to lose relationships to save lives? What if there was a way to still maintain relationship and honor other people's opinions and treat them with honor and dignity, even if they don't agree with your position? And what if we spent some time in learning about their position and why they cling so tightly to it? Because if you could do that, then you could speak from that perspective and actually have more impact on those people if you actually spent the time to do that, instead of doing what most of us do. And that is, you don't agree with me? I'm done with you. That's not being an advocate for the cause, Ashley.
Right.
To be an advocate for the cause, we care about all children, including the ones of the parents who think you're crazy for not vaccinating your child. So there's got to be a communication style and way of promoting what you have very boldly, but also honoring the other side's opinion and giving an answer to that opinion in honor and in respect. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue more right after this.
Do you get upset when people post things that oppose your opinions? Don't move. The next segment is for you. Put the Dani Johnson Show to work for you by advertising your product or service. The Dani Johnson Show has tens of thousands of listeners who are just like you. People who need what you're offering but just don't know it yet. Savvy business owners and marketing directors advertise on The Dani Johnson Show. To promote your products and services on The Dani Johnson Show, email john@danijohnson.com or call 866-760-8255. Did you know you can see Dani Johnson live and in person? Go to danijohnson.com and find out about our next live event. First Steps to Success. Register today. Call 866-760-8255 or go to danijohnson.com/FSTS.
You would think this would get easier. It doesn't. My name is Mia, and this is my awesome husband, Tony Gray. We're both from Maryland. Prior to plugging into DaniJohnson.com, we were beyond a mess. Probably an earthquake would be a better description. We were very young and married in high school. I was pregnant at 13. I was abandoned, abused, often turned to drugs and alcohol. And we just didn't know what to do. We knew how to put on a facade and come out before people. We worked long hours. He was never, ever home. And he was losing relationships with me and the kids. We were at the divorce attorney, ready just to quit. We didn't know a way out, and our debt, we just hung ourselves, it seems, every day, just going to work, spending, and then there was debt. We didn't know what to do. But after filing bankruptcy twice, you would think, well, you know what to do then. Well, we didn't. We kept making stupid decisions. And we were really just ready to quit. We were ready to give up. And we didn't see that there was any hope. I was actually depressed a whole lot. And since we got married so young, we wanted to be like the rest of our family and be divorced, because we were the only ones that were married for a long period of time. We lost several kids, but God blessed us with that. And after plugging in with DaniJohnson.com, life changed forevermore.
It's funny, I heard Dani say, talked about Donald Trump, and that was my way of life. He did it. He was a multi-millionaire. He filed bankruptcy multiple times, but I knew that wasn't the answer. I was working more hours, had a six-figure income, and found we were in more debt. But since plugging into War in Debt, in 36 months, we paid off $126,000. To me, it's all about giving back. And my wife has the biggest heart that I know, so it was her mission to not only get the information for us, but to share it in our community. So we had hundreds of people come to classes, but we had 92 people take action. And of those 92 people, in 34 months, they paid off $3.6 million.
Our marriage has been fully restored. Our children are absolutely amazing. They all own their own businesses. We raise 6 amazing kids every single day. And I can't tell you, without the DJU curriculum, without all of the products, we came at the beginning and we were piecemealing it, but that didn't work for us. You know how Dani says when you get the recipe, you need to get all the ingredients and not try to figure out, should I get the egg, should I get the milk? You just get it all and you follow directions. We follow directions and our life has changed forevermore. And we won't go back, we're just going ahead. So without further ado, help us bring back to the stage America's favorite millionaire, Miss Dani Johnson.
In your face and in your corner. You've never had a coach like this before. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
Division seems to be in the air right now. And we have largely become a person, a people, generally a community, who says, if you don't agree with me, I'm out of here. And if you don't agree with me, you're stupid and you're ignorant. And both sides feel that way about each other. Whether we're talking about politics, or we're talking about vaccination, we're talking about nutrition, we're talking about fitness, talking about money. It seems to be that we have become a culture that doesn't like other people's opinions that are opposing. But instead, we rather just cut people off. What I'm challenging you to do today is that with your influence that you have, broaden your scope and learn to understand the opposing opinion. Learn to hear it from their perspective, because it will only help for you to have more influence in their life. Rejection cuts off the influence in that person's life. Do you understand that? When you reject someone that doesn't agree with you, you now have no influence on them. But if you choose to take the moment to understand and have them share, you'll find that you have the same hearts coming from a different direction. And therefore, you have now influence still. And with honey, you can draw them into your camp of the understanding that you have. Instead of trying to bully your way through, you can build greater influence, broaden the scope of your influence, and have an impact on more people. It's all on how we approach it. We've got Jeanette Ramirez from Tennessee. Jeanette, welcome to the show.
Yes. Hello, Dani. This is Jeanette.
So we're talking about Facebook, we're talking about Twitter and Instagram, and how people are cutting off relationships with people, how we're perhaps using our influence in a negative way. Tell me what your thoughts are on that, or your experiences with Facebook.
Basically, my opinion is, there's a lot of bad stuff going on around the world. And when I started my Facebook a couple of years ago, I was just fed up of all the negativity and, all the garbage and the drama. So as I was sharing with Raven, one day I just, I just had it. It's just like, enough of it's enough. And I remember I was praying and I said, God, how can I make a difference to this world? I know, social media is such a blessing to so many. How can I make an impact? Mm-hmm. And I remember just posting something, I just said, even though things might look wrong, whatever's going on in your life, God is not done with you. And after that post, I got a lot of private messages. And people were saying, thank you for that word. I really needed it. Since that day, I prayed every day, God, I'm going to sow a seed. With every post that I put, I want to make a difference. Yep. God is my witness. I have had so many messages from people to tell me, I don't know you, but you just brought an encouragement to me. And that is what makes a difference in my life, and sometimes I'm speaking to myself as I put those posts on social media. A lot of stuff is going on, especially, with new elections and all this stuff going on around the world. People just need to embrace, hope, because that's what's going to change, everything around us. We've been praying for revival. We've been praying, God, bring this, give me this, but revival actually starts within us.
And it starts with repentance. It actually starts with repentance.
The moment that we realize, I was molested before I was 10 years old. I was abused physically, emotionally by my husband for 13 years. And I can live a life of failure and, just a miserable life. But I chose to rise up. The moment God got a hold of me back in 2007, He really embraced me, and I came to know hope. So, through that experience of myself, and I'm not boasting about myself. I'm boasting about what He did for me, what He has done for me, and what He will continue to do. I am a high school dropout. I'm this, I'm that. I'm all this stuff. But you know what? That doesn't define who I am.
That's right.
What is whose I am. Yes. And the moment that I realize whose I am, it makes a huge difference. So, this is my life. And, I only have one chance to make an impact.
Yep.
And I'm going to make an impact on future generations, and it starts with me, with my home, with my community. Yep. I am so blessed. I have an amazing husband, amazing children. God restored my marriage. I am more in love with my husband now than, after all that has been through. One time in my life, I questioned, God, why me? Why did I have to have this accident that almost killed me? 14 surgeries later, almost lost my left leg. But praise God, through this pain, through all this that I've been dealing with, I can relate to, I can identify myself with people that are hurting.
Yes.
And I can relate heart to heart and feel their pain.
Yes.
So every post that, I put out there, it's such a blessing. It's a seed that's being sowed. People will see it, and if they don't, if they block me, if they mock me, if they, hate me or whatever. It's okay. It doesn't bother me. At the end of the day, it's all worth it.
Yeah.
So, you know, I encourage people, you know, even though we might feel we have our moments, we have our, you know, our days or whatever we might be going through, but just look at the bright side. You know, if we overcame back then, we're going to overcome now.
That's right.
And our, you know, our past is only going to make us stronger.
That's right. That's right. There's no question about that. Jeanette, thank you so much for sharing that. I appreciate every single word, and I'm sorry for the struggles you had, but at the same time, I celebrate the struggles that you had because it made you who you are right this very moment, and you write from on your page on Facebook from that place of what you've overcome and the pain and the suffering and what it has produced, that is produced greater courage, greater hope, greater love, greater understanding of what everybody is walking through on a daily basis. We've got Sharona Noost from Kansas. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Dani. How are you?
Good. So how are you using Facebook?
I am using Facebook to actually right now we started a War on Debt group to help other people. I kind of noticed there were a lot of people that were posting and saying that they were struggling in their finances and they couldn't catch up. And I said, well, I have a solution. So I just like to be able to be there for others, to use my, use what we've learned and to be able to impact others' lives.
So influencing people with solutions. And that's what you're using your influence for.
Yes. And then just encouraging other people. I like to try to find either posts from, you know, your Facebook page and share them on mine, or come up with, you know, some encouraging things. I know that a lot of Facebook is just bombarded with, you know, very controversial things and things that aren't nice all the time. And I just want to try to be that light. And
it's awesome.
So if somebody comes to my page or is scrolling through their news feed, they're going to actually find something positive.
Yeah. And people need that right now, man. It's like a desert out there with so much fighting, so much division, so much like hatred and so much malice and character assassinations that are happening all through social media just because of people's beliefs. And so it's really important even for us to shield, you know, have a shield of faith around us, that we know that if somebody is attacking our character that doesn't even know us just because of what they think we represent or they think they know what we believe, we got to know that that person doesn't know us. And not to get disheartened or discouraged in that way, but to continue to be a light. And the bottom line is that darkness does like to come after the light. But if we're a light at the end of the day, that's what is so important, because there's so much darkness out there, and that light is always going to shine brighter than all the darkness. And so evermore, I think today is easier to gain influence on Facebook by staying out of those divisive conversations and obviously answering to the feelings that people are having. People are frustrated, they're scared, they're worried. And so bringing hope is a really important thing to do right now. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more right after this.
What multimillionaire do you know that volunteers their time to help ordinary people like you and me? There's only one. Stay right here for more of The Dani Johnson Show.
The whole story of how I went from homeless to millions is right here in this book, First Steps to Wealth. I'd love to give you a free copy of this book. Just dial 888-757-8880. You can get your free copy of this book. It's like a real book, my friend. You can get an ebook copy for free right now, or if you'd like to pay the shipping to get this $15 book to your house, I'd be happy to send it to you. 888-757-8880. Get your copy of First Steps to Wealth today and begin on a brand new path of some great success.
Put The Dani Johnson Show to work for you by advertising your product or service. The Dani Johnson Show has tens of thousands of listeners who are just like you. People who need what you're offering but just don't know it yet. Savvy business owners and marketing directors advertise on The Dani Johnson Show. To promote your products and services on The Dani Johnson Show, email john@danijohnson.com or call 866-760-8255.
Imagine living in a decrepit, unsafe hovel made of waste material on top of old mining tunnels that could explode and sink your home at any moment. Imagine no water to drink, no safe place to raise your children, no food for your starving baby. Imagine that your kids can't learn to read because they have to work to support the family instead of going to school. Could you imagine living in that kind of fear and hopelessness? This is exactly what families are dealing with in the poverty-stricken village of Santa Pancha, Nicaragua. These families can barely meet their basic food, water, and housing needs. We are transforming that village. Be a part of this miracle. I want you to go to the website now and learn how you can help. Go to kingsransom.org and click on Santa Pancha. There you can join with other warriors against poverty and help bring a miraculous transformation to Santa Pancha. That's kingsransom.org, kingsransom.org.
More resources, more training, more results. The DaniJohnson.com Insider Membership is your ultimate success shortcut. Get exclusive access to reports, videos, audios, ebooks, cheat sheets, and other training for your personal and professional life. This is truly DaniJohnson.com's best kept secret. Become an Insider member today and get on the fast track to success.
This is your chance. This is your shot. Get your copy of War on Debt right now. There's one waiting for you that has your family's name on it. And inside that package is freedom. Your family's freedom is on the inside of that package. All you have to do is open it up, press play, and start applying what I teach you in this program. 888-757-8880. You and I are going to help your family become completely debt-free in the next 5 to 7 years. Just imagine how that's going to feel.
Change your habits, change your future. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
So if you've been attacked on Facebook or Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, your opinion has been just like someone has taken an onion chopper to it. You've been put in a box because you shared your feelings. Come on. It's okay. It happens to all of us. It's all right. Don't get depressed. Don't be sad. It just simply shows the character of the person who wrote the message to you. And for you, you just have to see the truth in it. The person is hurting. Other people who attack other people's character that they do not know, other people who like to assassinate other people's reputation, people who, and I've done it, you've done it, we've all done it. It doesn't make it better and it doesn't make it right. But when somebody has attacked you that don't even know you, and it happens in social media places, to me, that gives me a list of people I need to pray for. It also gives me an opportunity to not get offended by their beliefs or for it to shake mine, but simply to want to then maybe dig a little deeper and learn more about where they're coming from and what their perception is so I can learn from them and learn from the space that they're in. Right now, you have an opportunity to be a great influence using social media. Make sure that you're doing that. Make sure that you're not feeding into division. Make sure that you're not feeding in to compromise, but that you're feeding love, honor, respect. These are the things that are higher, and these are the things that are help you get more influence. People are looking for it. They're sick and tired of everyone fighting. This is why they're blocking different people. So you be a light. You be an encouragement and be authentic. These are some of the things that we've talked about today. So if you've enjoyed today's show, please, freely it came to you, freely share it. Share it with people. You'd be amazed who needs to hear today's message. I'm sure that maybe you even came through a list, like you've seen a lot of negative people on Facebook. You're like, you need to listen to this. But also come over to the website, destinyglobal.com. Again, that's destinyglobal.com or DaniJohnson.com, same website. And visit us and you find today's show. It's right there, right on the homepage. And you can leave a comment. Once you click on that show, you can leave a comment telling us how you enjoyed today's show. Or even if we'd love your opinion or suggestions of how you think we can make it better. So we always want to grow, absolutely. And by the way, if this is your very first time tuning into the show, we have a free gift for you. We want to help you improve your influence out there in the marketplace because you are being watched and you are being heard. Even if you think you're not, you are being watched and you're being heard. And this book will help you to communicate purposely. Help you to communicate effectively, help you to kind of demolish all the miscommunication and get a much deeper understanding about yourself, what motivates you, and what motivates those that are around you. Also, there's 2 chapters in here on how to annihilate all of your debt, including your mortgage, in 5 to 7 years, and how to increase your income with your current career or business. This is First Steps to Wealth. First Steps to Wealth. Call our office right now, 866-760-8255, and get your copy today. This is Dani Johnson. We'll talk to you tomorrow. God bless.
Did you hear that last segment? Do you know someone else who needs to hear it? Go to DaniJohnson.com, find today's show, and share it online. This has been The Dani Johnson Show. If you want to hear more, visit us at DaniJohnson.com.